What's going on, everybody? This is Reese here. This is season 2, episode 5 of the Old Terps podcast. Let's talk about our Terps.
Welcome back to another episode of the Old Terps podcast. One of your hosts, Andrew Terrell. Maryland, they don't look good anymore. I thought they were going to look good. They don't anymore.
Travis Bauman here, checking in from Brooklyn. First thing we said when we hopped on this little platform that I saw you guys' faces, I said we got cooked on Tuesday.
Wasn't close. Was not close from the start. You got Reese here, checking in from Maryland. Kev, where are you at today?
We're in Sacramento. We're home. It's Kevin Herter. Same old fellas. We're in the grind of the season. Just kind of the dog days of January.
Well, here I'll tell you a little bit about the dog days. Tweet scrolled upon my timeline the other day, and I'll just read it to you real quick because I think it's pretty accurate. I need Greg Waddell, GWizzy12.
Thanks, Greg.
Yeah, thanks for this, Greg.
Appreciate the insight, Greg.
It's my burner. I need footage of a Maryland practice. My assumption is that Jahmir Young does layup lines by himself while everyone else spins in circles for 2 hours. Do we have anybody that could confirm that that's not true? Because he's the only guy that does anything. Seriously, he's the only guy that does anything. UCLA. Go through the UCLA game. I mean, what did he do? He didn't miss a shot for like 35 minutes. Dante didn't even know Dante actually didn't know he was in LA. He thought he was still in Maryland. Jahmir just does everything.
Yeah, I mean, if you watch the last couple games, it's been tough for anybody not named Jahmir. I mean, Juju has been the guy who, if there was a secondary piece, a guy we could rely on aside from Jahmir has been him. He had a donut Tuesday night. He did not score 0 for 4 from the field in 34 minutes. Jahmir, he's been really the only guy we could rely on lately. It's it is what it is.
The issue with the donut against Purdue was the 1 point against UCLA. So it's a couple in about a week span for our guy Juju, who's having a great year so far, but couple tough games from him.
And I mean, there's a lot of bad to talk about, and we all pretty much said it, but we got to give Jahmir props at least. I mean, 37 at UCLA and then followed up with 27 against Purdue. I mean, that's special numbers. We've seen a lot of great players at Maryland. We played with the bunch, but doing 37 to 27, that's pretty impressive.
Especially when like every game he goes into from here on out, the scouting report is going to say, number 1, stop Jahmir Young. Number 2, stop Jahmir Young. Number 3, stop Jahmir Young. Like, it's even more impressive now that, defenses are going to be geared completely towards just stopping him, making anybody else on the court shoot the ball.
What are you guys seeing from him now? Like, how is, outside of him obviously shooting well, what actions are you guys seeing? How is he getting going, really? How's he been hot?
Well, he figured out the pick and roll finally. Before they were just doing straight hard hedge, taking him all the way out of the offense. He had to pass out of it, and he couldn't figure it out. He figured it out against UCLA. Obviously, Purdue can't do that. They just play drop coverage. I probably could have gone out there and at least given them 15 to 20, with ZD's fat ass underneath the rim. But when it comes to Jahmir, like UCLA, they still did hard hedges. They still played defense that way. And he figured it out, which I also think is a huge tribute to Willard, because you're not just running ball screen action anymore. You're doing floppies. You're doing those type of things to get them open on weak side curl, little things like that, like NBA action. You don't guard it the way the NBA players do anymore.
And he's got a really nice floater. He made a couple of them early against Purdue, just trying to keep us alive. But it's a testament to him and how hard he works. If people don't know, he started high school, not at the Mather. He started at Riken in the same conference 2 years. Then went to the Mather for 2 years. Then was under-recruited, went to Charlotte, and got buckets at Charlotte, averaged close to about what he's averaging here at Maryland. Finally got to the bigger stage at Maryland. He's done the same thing. I mean, the guy works. He plays hard. He's a great teammate as well.
What we don't talk about enough is he leads the nation in scoring right now, like for active players.
Yeah,
Like he's
current
got
players.
2,000 plus points in Division
Yeah,
One.
it's a lot of
I
points.
mean, that's ridiculous. Like that's just a shit ton of points, and it doesn't seem like that, but he's up in the 2000s.
I've always said what I thought was most impressive about him scoring the ball was that he does it from all three levels, which I don't think you see a lot of college kids do. Like if you go under a ball screen, he'll stop and pop. He loves to get to the mid range, shoot the little floater. He can hit a pull up J from the elbow, and then he can get all the way to the rim. He's not super tall, but he can actually go up and punch one with the right hand, finish around the rim, get fouled. Um, there's not a lot of guys I think in the college game that can score in that many ways, and again, it's been super impressive.
Kevin, do you think his game translates? You think he could be a pro,
Definitely could be a pro. You worry about.
NBA player?
It's tough to say. I think anytime you start talking about NBA guys, right away go to size. If you're a smaller guard, especially point guard, you got to be elite at being able to put the ball in the basket. You got to change the game defensively, picking up guys full court, playing with a lot of energy. And he's one of the best point guards in the country. So right away, he's already in that discussion. I think it goes in. It'll depend on his summer league performance and obviously his pre-draft workouts. But he's definitely helping himself out. He's putting himself in the conversation. If continue to show that he can shoot the ball at a high level, can create for other guys. And honestly, if he can carry this team, that's going to hold a lot of weight. Like right now, these UCLA game, he obviously completely carried. He was out for that Coppin State game, but Purdue was really the only guy on the court that felt like he was having much success doing anything. So if he continues to have a good Big Ten season against this type of size, and teams aren't going to let him beat him, so you gotta expect teams are going to start to double him, or he's going to see other team's best defender every night, and like you talked about, he's going to be 1A and 1B on the scouting report. If he continues to play like this and shoot percentages, then yeah, he's for sure a pro. He's in that conversation.
One of the more impressive things too is going on the road and shooting 8 for 22. I mean, that's only 36%. I guess only. That's pretty decent, but it's miles ahead of anything they've done, earlier in the year. So being able to go to UCLA, which is actually a pretty, maybe not a tough place to play, but it's a historic place. It kind of shows you, that they've got something there. I don't care where you're at. If it's historic, sometimes you get a little nervous, a little shaky behind the wheel.
Historic is the right word. I feel like UCLA just has weird energy at their games. Like it's a little bit weirdly dead.
It's not on campus. It feels like it. I don't know this, but there's no way that arena's on campus. And if it is, then that's the equivalent of Maryland football.
Yeah, it's just like there's too many things for students to go do. Like you're in UCLA, you're in LA. I don't know. Like I kind of always feel like unless they had it going when Lonzo was there and TJ Leaf in that season where you really kind of felt like they had a home crowd again. Like I just kind of always feel like their crowds are a little bit just
Lonzo had shit jumping, but you can feel the energy through the TV screen. Like I was watching the game and I was just like, I don't think I heard the crowd say a word until they had that little mini run in the second half. I just was listening to Bill Walton rant for 2 hours straight about God knows what. And you can tell through the TV screen that UCLA, and you think UCLA should be one of the best atmospheres in the country. It's the blue blood school, and it doesn't really seem to have that kind of juice. I don't know why. Actually, you just said why. Too much going on in LA. If I was a student in LA, I might not be attending basketball games. I might probably be on Rodeo Drive spending some good hard-earned cash.
Well, they also don't have
that
USC right now is just a little cooler. I mean, LeBron James is walking to the gym. That's where people want to go. So like the right away they're number 2 in their own city. So
that's a good point.
That makes it tough in itself. But you also, like Travis said, when you're a blue blood though, like you're blue blood typically because it's so hard to win on your court. I know historically that's what matters. That's how you become a blue blood. But to maintain that, you have to have a great home court. So UCLA not having one is, think about the other blue blood schools. Duke, one of the best in the world.
Warzone.
Carolina, Hoosiers,
Warzone.
Kentucky.
Warzone.
exactly, war zones. But then you go to UCLA,
Nah,
that's when you
nah.
start talking though. Is that really as big of a job as we once made it? I mean, it's UCLA, but you know, I wouldn't want to
Apparently,
coach there.
apparently they got NIL issues. Is what I'm hearing. That's just the word on the block. A little birdie told me they're having some trouble coming up with the type of cash other programs are getting, which is just let's also like acknowledge it's pretty crazy. We're at that point in college basketball where like that's kind of how you build a roster. You got to have the cash, or else you're just not gonna get the guys. You know, it wasn't like that when we were there, but that is what part of what it's become these days.
Well, good quarterbacks, $1.1 million in football.
Easily.
It's insane.
That's that is so much money. You know
But
what I'd
some of
do for
these,
one point
some of
one
these,
mil?
What would you have done? Drew, tell us what you would have done in the varsity 221 with $1 million cash in your pocket. Tell us, take us down to 2017. What would you have done?
Honestly, like if I'm being dead honest, I'm taking 500 G's out in cash. I'm gonna put it into a duffel bag, and I'm gonna get naked in the bathtub, and I'm gonna have Kevin dump all the money on top of me,
Yeah.
and, and then take a picture of just my smile through all the green cash,
And
and
you
then
know
we're
what he's
gonna
doing with
pick
the
it
other
up,
half?
and then we're gonna pick it up, and we're gonna put it back in the bank, and we're gonna do, I don't like clothes, I don't really like any of that type of stuff, so I don't know what the hell I do, but it'd be
The other
hell.
500,000, he's probably betting that on Purdue
I was
money line
about
somewhere.
for sure, for sure.
Full disclosure, I not a gambler, not a sports so that's just false, especially not when I was in college. That's disgusting behavior.
Funny stuff.
Okay, Purdue. Let's talk Purdue before we just start incriminating people at this point. Um, home streak ends at 19 for us.
Bummer.
Pretty impressive. We had that win streak my freshman year. The team 2014, 2015 with Melo, Dez, Rashad Pack, Jake Lehman. They went undefeated. We carried that into my freshman year. We ended up losing to Wisconsin, I think midway through January when D Stone threw an elbow and then punched the kid in the face on Wisconsin. But those win streaks
Smushed
are
him.
hard to come by, but it's also like his quote at the end of the game. Willard's quote at the end of the game. It is really tough to win when you don't have students in the building. What makes college great is you have crazy atmospheres. It's very similar to EuroLeague. NBA's more December games for Maryland and college kids. It's tougher to get the crowd into it. So, what do you guys make of that streak coming to an end, and how much do you think that weighs on selling out the arena and moving forward?
It's very important that people acknowledge you can look at blanket attendance numbers and say, "Oh, what do you mean winter break? Students weren't there. You still, put how X number of people in the stands." But it's not quite the same. We have the wall, is what Xfinity is probably famous for. You have the wall behind the side where the opposing team's benches. During a normal game where students are there, that is completely filled with students. They're going crazy. They're yelling during free throws. They're holding up signs, all that stuff. During winter break, it's just as many 45-year-olds who just don't quite bring the same energy. I think that is something that you notice as a team. The opposing team probably notices it's not quite the same. And the other issue is we kind of have a whole nother month of that. Like students don't really come back to the end of January, so we're gonna have to kind of get used to that and figure out how to play through that.
Travis is absolutely right that the wall makes the bigger difference of the student section, but there was a lot of people there. And a problem with that quote, though, about almost saying you don't have the students there, it's tough. The Terps gave them nothing to cheer about.
Yeah,
I mean, you're down from the start 8-0, and then you're down 13 and a half, and then you're down 18, like 4 minutes in the second half. There was not a lot to cheer about. Purdue owned Maryland in every category, whether it was shooting threes, obviously paint points, and we had nothing going. So I think it's hard for fans to get behind that type of game. But it's also Maryland. That was a terrible matchup for Maryland. Purdue's super
yeah.
disciplined. They don't turn it over. They're feeding Zach Edey on our smaller team, and it was just we didn't have a shot from the start.
Well, bro, the fact that you can't get Zach Edey in foul trouble is ridiculous. He didn't have a foul. Like,
That's
not a
insane.
single. That's absurd.
That's insane.
Like, what's your whole game plan? You remember when we used to play Isaac Haas? What was our whole game plan? Get him involved defensively. Make sure if you go to him, you go at him. You have to bring him out.
Step up screen, dribble right at him.
Run in transition. And what'd we do? Clearly nothing. I mean, I don't understand how you can't get that kid one foul. That's absurd.
We couldn't get stops either. They shot the piss out of the ball. I think they shot 45% from three, like 9 for 20. When they're shooting like that, they are. I mean, it's gonna be tough to beat those guys. They are as good as advertised. That is the best team in the country.
That's
did you guys
issue
hear the stats that they were throwing out
on what
on Purdue in their non-conference. They're like, over the past 5 years, they're like 37-5.
They haven't lost in like 3 years. Non-conference.
11-0 against top 25 teams. Like, they're real deal.
I think they beat like 5 or 6 top 10 teams this year. They are legit. We do have to acknowledge, we're talking about the Terps and we didn't play great, but that Purdue team they're legit. They're legit.
I mean, look at it. They beat Gonzaga, Tennessee, Marquette, all in a row.
You talk about matchups with that, though. I think, and Travis, you just kind of hinted at it. This was as much as Purdue is that good rather than Maryland didn't play well. I know you're on your home court.
Yeah.
But, where was Maryland's advantage anywhere in this game? It was really at Jameer, and he's the only guy who had success. Like, what especially said, you're going to shoot 45% from three on the road. We can talk about the crowd, whatever. I feel like, honestly, when we went to other places during winter break, you didn't really notice the crowd was lighter. Maryland fans are home for winter. But you go on the road, you shoot 45% from three, and you have a center that you can't stop. What are you going to do? Like, you got Juju. I know he had a bad game. Where's his advantage? Like, he's still working on his jumper. He's working on the mid-range. Outside of that, he's still relatively an undersized 5. If he's our second best player, Zach Edey's winning that matchup. Like, I don't know where Maryland was going to turn to other than Purdue honestly just playing horrible and us figuring out a way to make enough threes to win. Like, our success in that game was not very high.
Who would you guys trade? So obviously Zach Edey, if you want position by position, Zach Edey for Julian, and that's not a knock on Julian. Zach Edey's just best player in the country. But would you trade? Like, if you look at starting lineups on those two teams, this will then turn into a broader question, obviously. But you look at, okay, Dante Scott or Trey Kaufman. That's a wash. Foster Lawyer and Harris Smith. I mean,
Lawyer's gotten so much better this year.
Yeah, Lawyer's
this year
Lawyer's
so much better
shooting
this
it.
year.
Going into the season, I'm taking DHS.
Yeah. He's good, but it's not ridiculous. Then you got Lance Jones, who I think's very, very solid, and Jordan Geronimo. That's not that far away. And Braden Smith and Jameer. So what's
it's crazy when you break it down like that. When you break it down like that, the discrepancies they don't feel like they should be that much. You know what I'm saying? It doesn't feel like the gap individually is crazy at certain places. They are just a machine, though.
I mean, here's
where it's obvious. They have a player you have to react to. Oh, you don't want to double team Zach Edey. He's going to give you 40 on 13 shots. Like, you have to react.
Best in the country.
You know what I mean? Like, for the most part, I mean, Jameer, we can talk about his ball screens, but like Foster Lawyer on a team with no one else who can create their own shot, like,
Kev,
go ahead,
I'm gonna let Reese say it, Kev. I'm gonna let Reese say it, Kev. You know exactly where this is headed. Reese, the floor is yours.
Is Zach Edey the most dominant player in college basketball?
The argument we got into last year turned out to be completely true in my favor. We're gonna see here, fellas.
Nice.
We're gonna see over the rest of the night.
Let's listen to this. Yeah,
the Indiana Hoosiers only lost by 37 to Miami, and then to the all-white Belmont Bears or whoever the fuck they played, St. Mary's 3 years ago. Like,
by argument, I talked about players that big don't win. They historically they lost round one, and Trace Jackson Davis is starting for the Golden State Warriors. So I talked about he's going to be a better pro. And if you were to start a college team right now in terms of versatility, I'm taking Trace Jackson Davis, which all of that has been proven true. 100%.
Even right now, still this year, is he the most dominant player in college basketball?
If you have a player like Zach Edey, you're one-dimensional. You play through him, you live and die by how he plays. He has a bad game. You saw an NCAA tournament, team figures him out. You have nothing else to turn to. Trace Jackson Davis just allows you to do more things on the basketball court, offensively and defensively.
Who would you rather have? That's all I want. That's the only thing I care about right now. College basketball season. Who do you want on your team? Who are you taking as one guy? I don't care about the pros. I should have been a pro.
I will not judge if you change your answer to the right answer. I will not judge you.
It's a completely different argument. It's a completely different argument. Has he gotten better? Is it like he's just back in college? Like he's just kind of doing the same thing. He was extremely dominant last year. Purdue was top 3, top 5 in the country all year. And you saw what happened. Of course, right now, today, for the players who are in college basketball, I'm taking Zach Edey, 100%. The argument that we talked about last year was a different argument. But yeah, Zach Edey.
No, Zach you're just twisting the words. We don't need to go down that rabbit hole because it's ridiculous. But in terms of dominance, so if Zach Edey, if he wins the national championship this year, Purdue wins the national championship, does your argument change? Would you say that?
Completely because of him. Like if they win it, it'll be based on his dominance alone why they win. And if they lose, it'll also be completely because of him, because of his lack of dominance when it matters. That's why I don't want that player.
Man, I'll take that player. You give me a 50-50 chance to be great, I'm good with that. Who would you rather?
We'll revisit, fellas. We'll revisit first week April.
We revisited last year at a big next? Time. I told you so. So I'm waiting for that again.
For the record, his guards let him down in a nasty way. His guards let him down in a nasty. Braden Smith shit the bed. They let him down nasty. They shit the bed.
Bro, Kevin was in DC that night. He was so happy.
So happy. They lost. Praying on their downfall.
It was ridiculous, bro.
Right away, I text all of you.
He said, "Thank you, God. I was right." Yeah, shut up.
All right, so looking ahead, Maryland has Minnesota at Minnesota. Always remember one of Kevin's freshman. I think this is your freshman year, Kevin. Second half, pretty close game. We had a really good team that year, but we're in Minnesota. Kevin shoots a 3 right in front of our bench. I mean, airballs it by about 6-7 feet. It's shocking. And I was just like, what the hell? Thought he was a little nervous. Very next play comes off a curl to the top of the key and hits it from, probably the M in the Minnesota Gopher. And, it's just one of those moments where you're like, hey, that guy's a little better than we are. That guy's going to be a pro.
That's one of your favorite traits as a basketball player. A guy who will miss by 9 feet and get the ball in the next possession and let it fly like nothing happened.
It's the only thing I care about in life, dude.
Nothing else matters.
Being a guy that can go, 0 for 3, that's pretty pathetic, But if you're going to sit there and you go 0 for 15, I appreciate that. That guy at least has nuts.
I'm proud of
him. Do you appreciate Maryland shooting?
I'm a believer. You either go one way or you go the other. You shoot not at all, like IU has learned to do, or you shoot a shit ton. In Prey, 27% is 27 threes out of 100 instead of 3 out of 9 or whatever that math could be. 3 out of 12. I'm not even sure I'm even close on that.
That's terrible math. This guy wasn't a math major, ladies and gentlemen. He wasn't a math major.
3 out of 12 is 25%. Am I wrong?
Some else you said it just wasn't. It was, the Hangover scene where like there's like all the signs, the math equation signs, like it's not adding up.
I got more sinus pressure going on right now than you guys could ever imagine. You know why? Because my New Year's Eve was better than all of your guesses. Kids are grown up.
It's the 4th.
That's how you know you did things correctly. That's how.
All right, but I need to hear where you were going with about Kevin shooting threes from the M and the Gopher at Minnesota.
Nah, it's just a great one of my favorite stories of all time. Is just him having absolute cow nuts. and me thinking to myself, I could have been him if I was 6'6" in a different mentality. You know,
Yeah.
I could have been that guy. That could have been me coming off that down screen and shooting. But anyway, you guys at Minnesota, I guess where I was going with that was I was going to ask Kevin, what's it like playing at Minnesota? Court is a little wonky. It's historic. It's kind of shitty.
It is, but it's also kind of cool. Like I always weirdly enjoyed playing at Minnesota. Like it's just
Hang
like a
on.
cool arena. It's different. Like, and I
Hang-
can respect the fact that it's different from everybody else's arena.
This is coming from a guy that was clocking 38 minutes and didn't have to go up and down from the bench to the court to the
True.
bench to the
True.
court. I
It's
think
kind
I
of like
did.
it's just preparing you for the Final Four run that we were gonna go on
was-
if COVID
I
didn't
was
happen.
cramping.
Magical run.
I was cramping.
It's cool though.
all-
Like, you know, I think we've talked about the court. It feels like you're on a stage. The crowd is super close. You know, it's just like a different feel. It's a old historic building. Honestly, I didn't love it as a shooting gym, even though I shot well there. But like the depth perception while shooting, I actually really didn't like it. It felt like just off. But all I know is Justin Jackson had he had 29-30 in that game. I shot it well. Melo Trimble, of course, just went stupid at the end, and I think we are down 15-20. And my freshman year came back and won. And Daryl Morcell knocked down buzzer beater. Like Maryland has walked into Minnesota
Special
a couple
shot.
times and handled business like men and went on home.
We don't
Yeah.
win that ring if he doesn't make that shot. Just straight up. We do not. No hardware. That season would be looked at a lot differently if he didn't make that shot.
Very close to an all-time collapse if he doesn't make that shot. What was it? It was you needed to win one out of the last three or two out of the last three. So
People forget we were running out of steam. We were running out of
who'd
steam.
you lose
fast.
to first? Was it Penn State?
There was an at Rutgers loss in there. There might have been a Penn State loss.
And then you beat Minnesota, beat Michigan, I believe was how that went.
Beat Michigan was the last game. Yeah. So we needed two. We needed two, and we didn't get Rutgers. Yeah, it was that would have been tough.
you
And to
took
not have a tournament after all that.
Insane.
That
It's
helps
Turge's
you
best
guys.
team. Honestly, that was Turge's best team. That's his
That
biggest
helps you
what
guys
if.
not have this tournament.
For what?
We could have gotten hot. You have a stud point guard and you had a professional 5-man.
That team
You're-
had the pieces, dude. And they had shot makers.
They
They
could
had
have had a
shot
run.
makers. They had a dominant point guard, and they had a 5. Jalen was shooting like 48% from 3 that year.
You couldn't guard it. Like you couldn't
You
guard it.
guys, you guys just had that bizarre off switch though. Like if you guys played even remotely average, your guys' average was so bad.
That's
Like so bad.
that's
You
the
guys either
tournament,
beat
though.
teams like Marquette by 50, or you guys would go the other way, and out of nowhere you guys are losing by 26 at Seton Hall. Like there was no in between for you guys against good teams.
It was a streaky mob, but streaky mobs are the one that get freaky
Yes.
in March. Like those types of
100%.
explosive,
100%.
and we had that type of explosiveness.
And you had,
And yeah,
bro, you had playmakers. You had Ant, you had EA, who was very under the radar,
like
nice,
yes,
like that.
tough.
Nice.
You had Wiggs, who was a just shot maker. You had Daryl
Pro.
and Dante, who were both psycho in the head, and then you had Sticks, who was
Dogs.
first team all league. Like that was a squad.
But we went like
Very,
set
very
deep. That
good
was
ball.
it. It was like set deep.
It's
That
funny because
team-
that team is also one of those things. Like, of course, you look back, your regrets. Like, okay, I leave after 2 years. In my head, I'm like, damn, if I stayed 4 and I was on this team, and I chose to stay 4, and we would have lost the NCAA tournament. Like, you stay those 4, and then hey, sorry, your season's over. See you later. Oh my god,
If
It would've-
you had stayed, I think our junior year would have been ridiculous if you had stayed.
If you
Like
stayed,
that.
I was staying. I redshirted. I wasn't leaving. You kidding me?
The junior
Yeah.
year, because we had Bruno, and all those guys. Put that team with Bruno and Kevin, and that's
You want to know the funniest part about that year is that I went into that spring full on recruiting to Bruno and JJ that they need to stay. I walked in like, yo, fellas, like, we're gonna have a squad. We got all the boys returning. JJ was already out. He's like, yo, I can't do it. So he was done. And so me and Bruno, I remember we're like sitting in our dorm room, staring at each other's face, like, yeah, we should make this decision together. Like, what are you thinking? And I'm like, yo, I'm probably back, bro. You gotta wait. Like, you could be top.
This guy's a
you could be
liar.
top 20. No, at the time I deadass believed it. And I'm like, yo, you stay, you can be top 20. Like, trust me, we're gonna have a mob. Like, if we win, we'll be fine. We got a mob. And then like 2 weeks later, Bruno walks in and goes, you're not staying. You're out of here. Like, he's like, I already told Terps I was coming back. It's not public yet. Like, you really about to leave me? And I just like gave him the Magic Johnson, like, I ain't gonna be here.
I'm not going.
And then 3 months later, and with the 19th pick in the 2020 NBA draft, or 2019, Jesus, that was forever. No, 2018.
18.
20.
Bro, was it 2018?
Nah,
how many years have you been in the league?
2019,
bro.
2019. Right?
No,
16, it was 18. It's 2018. 2016, 17, 17, 18. 2 years, 2018.
2018.
Bro, that is
crazy.
Insane.
Year 6.
6 years.
I'm up there.
It's nasty.
That's great.
That is-
Hey,
Guys
did
are
you know
vet.
if Kevin did stay, I wonder if Wiggs would have ever made it to the league. It would have been a different progression. Could have had to wait a year. Could have been older. So
I'll never
I got
forget
Wiggs
that.
there too.
The day Kevin declared, I laugh about this all the time. Ant went on Instagram, and it was like, I don't think anybody clocked it, but Ant went on Aaron's Instagram and found a picture from like 2 years ago and just commented and said, "Get ready," period. That's all he said. Get ready.
I did not know that.
I laugh about that to this day because he
Talking
knew. He
about
was
get
like,
ready.
"Get ready." Yeah, it's time.
I was
I
just
did not
talking to
know
Ant
that.
the other day, actually. That dude's still one of my all-time favorite people, just period. The quiet assassin that will just absolutely rip your heart out if you do anything wrong to the guy.
We got to get Ant on the pod. I think everybody listening
do.
would be very surprised. Anthony Cowan is a different person these days. That
We
is
do.
a changed man. That guy finally left the
Finally
state of
grew up.
Maryland. Grew up a little bit. He's an influencer on TikTok. If you go look at his stuff, I mean, is living and he's hooping too.
He might finally eat a vegetable.
He's
Crazy.
hooping too. He is
Hooping.
hooping. He's hooping. He's
Bro,
doing
he
his
sent
thing
me
out
a picture the other day. He made buffalo chicken dip when we were sophomores in college. I remember I told him to go boil the water so we could start spaghetti, and he just like put his hands up like, how do I do that? How do I boil water? It's like, bro, what? He was like, hey, Drew, do you know how to clean the washer? I was like, you don't clean the washer, bro. What are you talking about? The washer cleans your clothes.
Dude, we were roommates. We were roommates freshman year. His mom would come drop off groceries like every 2 days, and this dude loved cereal. Like, oh my god, he'd have a bowl of cereal 4 times a day. He never closed the cereal box, so he'd open his box of cereal, he'd pour himself a bowl, he'd put it dead on the counter, wide open, go eat a cereal, go into his room, like play video games, come back the next day, like go to pour a bowl, and just like, bro, like look at it, like it's stale. I'm like, dude, no shit, it's stale. Like you left it out all night. And then he'd go buy the next cereal box and do the same exact thing. He had to have done it 30 times that year. Like he'd have one bowl and leave his stuff on the counter. I'm like, dude, like just close the box of cereal, my guy. It's a very simple thing. You like,
I know he'd be like, Kev, come on, Kev. Why you leave the cereal open? And Kev is like, I didn't eat your Honey Nut Cheerios.
Dude, I didn't touch it. You're dude like Captain Crunch and Lucky Charms. Oh my god,
bro. He was the only kid I know, and I know we're so off topic right now, but he's the only kid I know that, as a grown adult, bro, he would really dump Lucky Charms into a bag, take out all the marshmallows, and then only eat the marshmallows of the cereal. I'm like, bro, what are you doing? This is crazy. He's like, what, bro? I hate whatever these freaking things are. Like, they're so nasty. I'm like, dog, just go mash up some marshmallows, then just buy marshmallows.
He's a grown up now. We'll get him on the pod. We'll get him on the pod soon.
Yeah, we got to get him back.
Okay, somewhat trying to get back to any type of preview. Dawson Garcia, that dude's really, really solid. 36-point double-double against Ohio State. He's going to be probably a Julian/Dante matchup. You guys think there's any shot there with that? Also, if we lose to Minnesota, is the season done early? I mean, that's a ridiculous thing, but is it done? We'd be 1-2 in conference play. We'd be 1-3 actually in conference play. Losing at Minnesota should be your biggest win.
So done. When I think of done, I think no NCAA tournament. I do think we're getting close to that point because we need wins. I think that's a win you need to steal. I'm looking at ESPN. Take a guess on the percentage likelihood that they have that Maryland would win. Any guesses?
I would say 75%.
That Maryland would win. Yep. Travis.
Yeah, because they won at UCLA.
I say 50-50. I feel like Minnesota's around where we are statistically.
Kev, what do you think? Percentage that chance that Maryland beats Minnesota?
I like our chances. I think this one will get.
So ESPN says it's 35% chance Maryland wins.
Oh, brother.
At Minnesota.
Oh, we're cooked.
Okay.
What's the spread? Is that spread yet?
It's not up yet, but Minnesota's 10-3. If that dude's playing, he's legit. I still think
that spread will be probably -2.5 Minnesota.
So I will say Minnesota plays hard as shit. I watched them play a couple games. They play hard. They got some guys. They have a point guard, Elijah Hawkins. He's from the DMV, so he's a tough guy. I'm pretty sure he went to DeMatha. So that's a DeMatha, Jameer, Elijah reunion. They play hard. And that's another one of those. It's a Big Ten game, right? Like Big Ten teams play better in their gym. I think statistically they line up pretty well with us. Who's going to make shots? Who aside from Jameer is going to be able to help us get buckets, manufacture some offense, especially because again, you have two fairly even matched teams. You on the road, you're spotting them 6, 7, 8 points. Who's going to help us manufacture some buckets? That's what we're going to need to get this win.
It's a broken record. Unfortunately, it's something that we can't avoid talking about it every week, but plain and simply, if we can't find our three ball, it's going to be tough to beat anybody, especially on the road. So I think that's going to be something that won't leave us for the foreseeable future.
Before we go any further on the topic of 3 points, quickly, let's run through it. Let's get guesses, 3-point percentage and standing in the country. Let's hear them. Run through them quickly.
Had to have gone up. I'd say 28%, and we're 335.
I'm gonna say we went up. I'll say 30%, and we're sub 300.
There's no shot we're touching 30%.
That's the dumbest comment.
I got 20.
Amir, clip this as the dumbest comment of the show.
I got 23%.
All right, dog.
Okay. Amir, clip that.
Delete Kev's and actually put Reese's guess as the dumbest of the show.
But 25. Right, I bet it's actually 25.
27.2% from 3-point land for a whopping 348th in the country.
Thank you.
Right ahead of, I don't even know who this school is. We're behind Tarleton State, and I'm not going to pronounce this other. Yeah, so it's
Tarleton again. There's 348 out of
363.
It's good. It's
363.
It's awful. It's a broken record though, and that's just our team. That's our season.
Something to be said for that though. College basketball sometimes a simple game, right? Like we make shots, we'd be having different discussions. Yeah,
turn teams over.
Yeah,
get to the foul line.
Yeah,
offensive rebound.
Yeah, little things.
You guys got
little things to get by.
No, little things do not get by. They never have. Never will.
I mean, the schedule gets serious now. We got no more softballs, right? This is straight big boys from here on out.
I know that, which is exciting. Big Ten play is the most exciting time of the year.
It's fun.
Conference play, is there anything better than Saturday morning and you start clocking in the CBS? I've got 7 TVs in my living room. I'm CBS, ABC, ESPN, ESPN2, Big Ten Network, FS1.
You know why I don't believe you? Your Wi-Fi definitely cannot support all of that going on at the same time.
I'm going to send you guys a picture because my TV setup is legitimately one of the best in the country.
And you'll still watch on your phone though. You'll have all these TVs and you'll have your phone out. And that'll be the game you're actually watching.
I go phone and iPad. So
what do you need 7 screens for? You got 3 TVs, a laptop, a phone, an iPad, and a Kindle?
Do you understand how many different games I watch at a time? I'm locked in at all times. You guys think people at home think it's a joke that like Tarleton State, I've watched them play twice this year.
Oh, this guy doesn't gamble though, I promise. He just loves college basketball.
I don't. That's the best part. It's just a guy that loves the game. He's a guy that loves the game. Any
He's working harder than you.
Any coaches that need somebody that can run you a little clean set to clean set. I don't even know what I was going to say there. I'm your guy, though. And it's because I watch an absurd amount of basketball. So you can't
He's
fault
your
the
guy
guy
too.
for
If you need your kid to get a little private one-on-one training, he's also your guy. He needs a rebounder every now and then.
I will never send my son to work out with Drew.
This guy told us a story last year. He's training this kid. He's a center, and he's like, you know what I do? We do rebounding drills. I sit and I shoot threes, and he rebounds for me.
We work on passing too. I want that thing in my pocket so I can get fucking reps up.
His parents gonna be like, can I come watch the workout one day? Be like, what the hell are they doing?
No, that's how we end workouts. I hit 200 shots and he tracks the ball. Track the misses, get it in the shooting pocket.
Oh, brother.
That's what, bro, I can't wait to have a son and for some reason I just thought about this. I can't wait to have a son, just have him bully the hell out of Reese's.
I can't wait. Drew's girl dad. Hashtag girl dad.
I'm not going to have any girls. Not doing it. Not having one. So, anybody else got anything else?
No. Except
Happy New Year, guys. Happy New Year.
Happy New Year.
Maryland fans don't get too discouraged, although we got some work, but Purdue is actually phenomenal. They are a good basketball team. So, hopefully we can figure this out, but Purdue's really good.
Yeah. They are very solid. Other than that, I got nothing. So, without further ado, I think that's it for the episode. We move forward and we move on. Everybody good? It's just like that. I think we're the best to ever do it.
We are.
Greatest ever. Shout out us.
Best I ever seen.